This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Comedian T. Bubba Bechtol on this edition of Conversations. As a preteen, some may have thought T. Bubba Bechtol would follow in the footsteps of his grandfather, a traveling tent revival preacher. But as he got older, he would find his worldly ways were not in line with that job. But he did learn from his grandfather how to attract and hold the attention of an audience. He also found he could be funny. Bechtol's road to a comedy career was not typical. Rather than the nightclub circuit, he found success as a professional speaker. Bechtol's speaking skills would earn him the Certified Speakers Designation, a premier status bestowed by the National Speakers Association. With his skills honed on the speaking circuit, T. Bubba Bechtol's comedy routine struck a chord with the country music fan base. His success has allowed him to play such prestigious venues as the White House and the Grand Ole Opry. In addition to his live performances, Bechtol has recorded several albums and written a book entitled Who's Your Bubba? We welcome T. Bubba Bechtol to this edition of Conversations. Good to see you.
How you doing, my man?
I am well.
It's great to be here. I enjoy watching your show. I'm happy to be on it.
Well, great. Glad to have you on there. Tell everybody how the whole Bubba thing came about.
When I was elected president of the United States JCs, I was the first president. Back then, it was a million-member organization. It was huge. Pensacola had two great chapters here with the Escambia Bay and Pensacola JCs, which stands for the Junior Chamber of Commerce. I campaigned in 50 states and won the presidency, and I was the first one in about 30 years from the South. So, like when Clinton went to Washington, everybody, he's from Arkansas. He's sort of a Bubba. Yeah. Not really a Bubba, but sort of Bubba. And they started calling me Bubba just because I was from the South. And I went with it. I did it my year as president and then a year as chairman of the board. And I traveled the world in that organization, and people just loved saying it. And it just stuck. And when I went into the entertainment business, I put a T in front of it to separate me from the other 8 million Bubbas out there. You know, I used to be the best known Bubba anywhere around here, and then Bubba Watson went off and won 2 Masters. And, you know, so we got double Bubbas now.
Double Bubbas. That's it. So how did you transition from being a professional speaker into being into more the entertainment side, I guess?
Well, I started off I built several successful businesses in Pensacola. And I became a sales trainer, and I started off in the National Speakers Association as a sales trainer. That went into, I didn't like speaking all day, didn't like training, so that turned into keynoting, expertise of keynoting and building small businesses. And then that turned into a humorous talk. People were laughing more than they were learning. And Zig Ziglar walked up to me one day and said, you know, you need to be a comedian. You're funny. You need to do that. And so it was a progression. I didn't do my first stand-up till I was 49 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Out here at the Sunray Taco Shop on the beach. We used to go in there with White Sands Panhandle Band, and when in their intermissions, I'd stand up and do a little stand-up. Because I just liked doing it. I didn't really think it was a career. One night there was a guy sitting in the back of the room from MCA Records. He goes, that stuff's funny. He said, won't you come to Nashville and let's try. And so I called Jerry Clower, who was on the label, great Southern comedian. Right. And between his association with him and my last 2 years of Louis Grizzard's life, living with him and learning how to write and everything, I just went into the entertainment business. And Bubba was something that I created a character, you know. People ask me all the time, what kind of truck you drive, Bubba? And I say, well, I live on an island, drive a Corvette. You know? It's a character, okay? It's not what I do. It's not who I am. You know, it's what I do. But I enjoyed it. Bubba was good to me. It got me, you know, on the Grand Ole Opry for 20 years. 2 gold records. I mean, I did a lot of CD album sales. So it's I'm kind of winding that down a little bit now. I'm more into the writing, but it was a lot of fun. That's how it happened.
Being on the Grand Ole Opry is a very prestigious thing. What was it like your first time?
It was a night I'll never forget. October 26, 1996. I was already with Opryland Productions. I was already doing a show with them in Pigeon Forge called Boots, Boogie, and Blues, and I would go out and MC and host the show and do comedy in between and that sort of thing. And Jerry Clower died. And they wanted to replace some comedians on the Grand Ole Opry, and they had this kid out of Atlanta that went on there, and he didn't do real well. He did well afterwards, Jeff Foxworthy. It's hard to go on the Grand Ole Opry and make fun of rednecks, you know. No, Jeff just went another way totally. But they had several other comedians on there, but you got to be really clean on the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, it's the mother church of country music.
Right.
They protect that brand better than Disney World does. And I always kept my stuff really clean. I didn't use any cuss words or innuendo or any of that sort of thing. And I went on there that night, and I had 5 encores.
Wow.
5. They wouldn't let me off stage.
Wow.
And Bill Anderson really championed my cause there, and another fellow Mississippian, Charlie Pride, introduced me in my debut there. And it was, I just stuck. I stayed there for 20 years.
Yeah. What's it like when you do a routine? How much time do you spend preparing for that? Are you, I guess my question is, are you always writing and what's your process?
Some comedians do that, Jeff. I don't. Most comedians discover their material. They see something funny and they said, that's funny. Now here's my slant on it. Right. I'm an observational comedian, always. All 5 of my comedy albums are observational. I just look at the world. I'm very well read. Most comedians are the best read people in show business, and most of them read 5, 6 magazines a day, or newspapers to find the funny. Right. You know, and once they discover it, it's easy to transition. But to sit down and start just writing comedy, hardly any of them do that. None of the ones I've ever worked with. Right. We'll discover. We know how to look for the funny.
Right, right.
Oh, that's funny.
Right.
You know, we'll see something the president says that night on the news, and we'll take it and go with it.
Right.
It's not a. It's a thing you can train yourself to do. I wasn't always. I mean, why did I wait so long? I was almost 50 before I did my first stand-up. I didn't think I could do it. I was afraid of the risky business of show business. Yeah. Professional speaking was paying me quite well. Right. And I went with that. As a matter of fact, I was in the entertainment business 8 years before I made as much money as I was speaking. Yeah.
Well, the speaking business, like you say, is a good business if you're good at it.
Let me tell you, ask Bill and Hillary, they'll tell you.
That's right.
$500,000 a time.
That's exactly.
Whoop! I dropped my hat.
Exactly.
But I just, it was a progression for me. Mm-hmm. But just to sit down and start, you and I going over there and sitting down, so let's write some funny stuff. That's almost impossible.
Yeah. So, but you just get something, you see it, and you observe it, and then you just scribble it down. I'm assuming. So you just.
It's like Seinfeld's last album. It's a trip through the supermarket. Yeah. He's walking through the supermarket. Yeah. Talking about this stuff on the shelves and all this sort. He sees it, reworks it, and tells it. And of course, he's always. I don't compare myself to the great Seinfeld by any means, but style's the same. Right. I just see funny stuff and I report it. Yeah.
When you performed, how much of it is do you ad-lib? Do you start feeding off the audience and see some other opportunities to jump in there?
There's a real thing called getting them on a roll. You can get them on a roll. I've had audiences I just had to stop, let them catch their breath. Because you get on a roll, you kill them. I mean, that's what's the term we used always in comedy. Man, he killed them. They wore out. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you can listen to me for 45 minutes to an hour, when I was really in the groove, when I was in the moment, it's hard work sitting out there laughing that much.
What if you're not? You ever have just a bad night where they killed you, so to speak?
I get that all the time, and I got to tell you, I've never had a bad show. The worst show I ever had was with a group called Up With People. Okay. And they had 5 of them, and they asked me to come in and do a little show right here in Pensacola. And I did my show and always had a very patriotic ending. And they didn't tell me it was an international group. And I was really touting America hard. Because one of my famous speeches was what is right with America. And I gave it over 20 times a month for years. And at the end of it, there was no applause, and they were just kind of all looking at me. Well, they were all from foreign countries. And that's the only bomb I can ever have. I prepare. And I always watch my audiences. Having cut my teeth for 30 years in the National Speakers Association, I never had those problems. I never had hecklers. I went into entertainment with about 5 hours worth of material. Most comics get started with 30 minutes. Okay. and I had albums popping out right and left. I was a 35-year overnight success because of that. And it was, it happened for me, and it happened quick. I mean, I was in Nashville a year and a half, and I had a record deal. Yeah. And I was the first comic that had been signed to a record deal in almost 20 years.
Yeah. I want to backtrack on something. You mentioned somebody earlier, and many people will probably remember him, Louis Grizzard, who passed away quite a few years ago. But he was, newspaper columnist.
Great Southern humorist.
And how did your relationship develop with him?
He called me one day, and he said, "Bubba, I'm getting these concerts. People want me to come and perform. Right. And I've always been a writer. And I'm not real good on stage. And I've seen you, and man, you are great on stage. And I've also read the articles that you're writing for these papers all over the country and everything. And you suck as a writer." That's what he said on the phone. I went, "Well, thank you very much for that, Louis." He said, "I'll make a deal with you. If you'll come to Atlanta and you'll help me be a better performer, I'll help you be a better writer." His manager, Steve Enoch, at the time, was the guy that managed me in show business. And when Louis died, actually when he was ill, I started doing some of his shows for him. Mm-hmm. I never forget walking into Sea Island, Georgia one day with a whole room full of medical association doctors from the state of Georgia and South Carolina. And I walk out and I say, "I don't know why y'all are here. Y'all know Louis is in the hospital. But I'm Bubba. I'm the Bubba Louis wrote about for years. Earl's not here because he didn't want to come, And so we absolutely, I just start my show and do my show, and they loved it. Yeah. And I covered some of his shows for him, and he never did recover enough to. He died at 42. We lost him very early. Right. But then his manager just took me to Nashville, and when I got too big. And Steve came to me and said, "You need a bigger manager. I can't do this. You've outgrown me." Great guy. And I went with Williams and Bell, the big house at that time for comics. And as they say, the rest is history. But that's how it started.
What did you learn?
We were good friends.
What did you learn from Grizzard? What jewel did you?
I learned to be a little more brave. Just say it. Yeah. He would say the most outrageous things. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see today if he would be as famous as he is in the politically correct world we live in today. Yeah. But he gave us permission to be Southern. Yeah. He's the first great Southern writer that we're as good as anybody else. We talk funny. Yeah. You start with a Southern accent and your IQ drops 100 points in most people's minds. But, this is where Duke and Vanderbilt are located, right. And you want to keep naming prestigious schools. Been ahead of the Ivy League for a long time. So it is he learning to twist all of that into pride in the Southern. It's interesting being from the South and being a Southern comedian. I'm guilty by geography. Right. It don't matter if you're funny or not. If you're from the South and you're funny, you're a Southern comedian. Right. Well, Jay Leno's from Boston. He never been referred to as a Yankee comedian. He wasn't a Boston comedian. He wasn't a Northeastern comedian. You've never heard of a Southwestern comedian right. Or a Mid-America comedian. But if you're from the South and you're funny, you're going to be a Southern comedian. And that's okay. I went with it. He showed me how to turn that into a plus. Yeah. That's the biggest thing I learned.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, is it an advantage to being considered a Southern comedian?
It is. I think it is. I think they expect you to be funny and more humorous. When I was a humorous speaker in the National Speakers Association, we call it a humorist, not a comedian, although they've adapted the word at this time. But when I was very active in the NSA, we didn't do that. The Certified Speaking Professional Designation is quite a designation. There are only about 3,000 of them in the world. Mm-hmm. You have to have made $250,000 a year in speaking fees 5 years in a row, and $100,000 in merchandise sales every year, 5 years in a row. And you got to be pretty good to do that. Mm-hmm. It's changed now, but that's what it was when I achieved the designation. And coming out of that taught me how to handle a crowd. I never had hecklers. Mm-hmm. I never had any of those things that a lot of comedians have to put up with. I admire those guys that go in comedy clubs. I've never done a comedy club. I did a showcase one time. Right. But I was so well known as a speaker, I could almost, from the word go, I could almost do a hard ticket sale and sell out small theaters all over the South, Yeah, it is. It is an advantage. People expect Southern people to be more humorous. They expect witticisms.
Right.
They expect, you know, he can't help being ugly, but he could have stayed at home.
Yeah.
You know, and those things that are all over. Witticisms, things that Southern people say. It's part of our culture.
Yeah. You mentioned something a second ago I wanted to ask you. Is there a difference between a humorist and a comedian?
The difference is the audience, not the performer.
Okay.
A humorist, you think of Mark Twain,
Right.
and he usually had a little message at the end of it. His comedy was cerebral. It made you think. They would take on politics. Will Rogers was a humorist. He would take on politics, and he'd give them hell, you know. But a comedian is supposed to be just funny. A humorist usually has a bit of a message to it. If there's a difference, to me, that's what it is. But it's who's in the audience so much. If you're a member of the National Speakers Association and you're funny, you're going to be known as a humorist because you're going to deliver a little bit of a message. You're going to do that sort of thing. And then when I went into comedy, I just dropped a message. Although a lot of comedians now are going back to some message in there at the end of their shows. I think it's interesting.
Who that is on the scene right now as a comedian, who do you like these days?
Well, Foxworthy's still writing a book. He's done TV and everything. And, of course, I'm very proud of his success because a rising tide lifts all boats. He gave me a shot in there. I think Larry's doing a good job.
Larry the Cable Guy.
Larry Cable Guy. But I love the fact that Seinfeld went out and burned 25 years of one-liners and started over again after he dropped the show. And he's been to Pensacola twice. He's coming back. Yeah. He sells out every time. I mean, he's just a genius. Yeah. I still like I like some of the old guys. You know, Jackie Mason. Anytime I get a chance to go see him, I go see him. He's just hilarious. Never seen delivery like that. He's still performing in Vegas. But today, you know, Ron White's killing them out there. I don't do that kind of comedy, but I admire other genres as well. You know, they're carrying the mantle. Ron's from Texas, but that's Southern enough. You know, I mean, it's like all of those guys. Larry's from Nebraska, but he learned to be Southern. Let me tell you, he got Southerned up real good when he got with those boys. And they're carrying the big comedy badges now. Chris Rock and all those guys that are, you know, so big for years. There haven't been a lot of people coming along taking their place.
Right.
But in a quote Southern comedy thing, yeah, we got a legacy going on there.
Yeah. Going back to the old days when you were growing up, who did you like?
Well, Jerry Clower was, but the man that had the most influence on my career was Brother Dave Garner. Old-time comedian. He was on the Jack Parr show 12, 15 times, and then when Carson took over for him, he came in. Brother Dave was the first great Southern comic. Rejoice Dear Hearts was one of his albums, very much in the Grizzard vein. You know, stupid, ignorant Southerners selling water to them Yankees up there, you know. And he was a great comedian. He was the most famous comedian of his day. Yeah. But when I was growing up, he was, I got to see him at Gus Stevens' restaurant in Biloxi, Mississippi, where I was going. I graduated high school at Long Beach, and I became a driver for him for a summer.
Okay.
And he really influenced me until the day he died. He would send me a Christmas card every year, and I keep up with his kids. And Dave Gardner, I mean, if you want to hear some, he's still on Sirius Radio today. You hear him on XM Sirius, and I love them checks, by the way, coming in. And he's still being played today, but he was a huge influence on me. And then Clower, of course, influenced everybody in the South that wanted to be funny for many, many years. Minnie Pearl probably guided me more than anybody when she told me that laughter is God's hand on the shoulder of a troubled world, and those that can do it should. I was trying to make my decision to leave a very profitable business world to go out there and hang my face out in the microphone and see if I could be funny or not. And she told me I was funny, and kind of paved things a little bit for me on the Grand Ole Opry. People that knew her knew me and introduced me and the whole thing.
Interesting question here for you. You know, so many comedians you hear that they're kind of introverts when they're not on stage, when they're not
Yeah.
performing there. What about you?
That's a great question. I love answering that question. There's two kinds of comedians out there. There's those that anytime you see them, they're on. They're on. They're never off. Bobcat Goldthwait. Jerry Clyde be walking through the airport in Atlanta, he's on. Ow! He get a bit red tuxedo, never off. And then there's people that when the show's over, they put the character in a suitcase and they become themselves. Right. And I'm more that way. It's like Minnie Pearl on the Grand Ole Opry, an American icon, just a comedian, you know, acting a fool with a price tag hanging off her hat. But when she died, she left $47 million to the Sarah B. Cannon Cancer Research Center at Baptist Hospital in Nashville. Yeah. Just a comedian, you know. But Bob Hope was worth what, $1 billion? But I tend to do that. Bubba's a character I created. I've never done a show in the entertainment business as Darrel Bechtol. Yeah. I've never been introduced. It was a character. Yeah. And when the show's over, I put Bubba in a suitcase. Okay. I mean, I changed clothes. You've seen some shots already on the show of the get-up I wear. Right. And I go to the house and I'm myself. Okay. And I think there's a lot more comedians like that than there are those that are just on all the time. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to be on all the time. Yeah. It's an energy journey.
You wear out
it?
quick.
Yeah.
But a lot of them do it. Yeah. I mean, what you see is what you get. They're funny. You sit on an airplane talking to them, they're funny. Yeah.
Were you a funny kid growing up?
I could make people laugh. I discovered that at an early age. But I had a serious side to me that I was a football player. I was captain of my high school football team and also president of the drama club, so I caught it from both ways, you know. I was always involved in a lot of different things. I think that's the way to raise good kids. Keep them busy. Yeah. Idle times where they go, and my mama did that. She kept us busy. It was Boy Scouts or football or year-round sports. We had something to do. There was a coach involved, you know, in our lives in some way. And I tried to do the same thing with my two sons, raising them here in Pensacola, and they both turned out to be great kids. But it's interesting that where comedians come from. You know, CPAs. I know a CPA that's now a comedian.
Well, Bob Newhart was.
Bob Newhart was a CPA, yeah. Certified Public. Yeah, sure was. Yeah. So they're not all class clowns when they're growing up. Some of them are very serious. Yeah. I think it's interesting. You can make people laugh, and if you enjoy that, if you like making people laugh when you're a kid, and we all start out imitating others. Right. Every one of us does. Yeah. You know, I don't care what kind of comic you are. You started out imitating some other comic, and if you like that, you start to look for it, and it becomes a lifestyle. I know a lot of the funniest people I know, Jeff, are not in the business. Really? They're not in show business. Yeah. I have a little humor group that I get together with once a month. And one of them's retired military, one of them's a farmer, one of them's the girl is a female attorney, brilliant young lady. They're just funny people. And we get together and we bounce stuff off, and a lot of it I can't use because of today's world. Right, you know? Right. And I don't have a real problem with political correctness so much, although I've got an album I'm working on now called Political Correctness is Choking Me to Death. It's just some of the ways that we've overdone it. Right. I think political correctness is just being nice for the most part. It's just being nice.
Is there anything that's off limits, anything you won't touch?
Yeah, I don't touch sexual innuendo. I don't talk about politics and the people. If I do any political jokes now, on my second album, I did a whole bit called Southern Politics, and it's why Southern politics is different than other politics. You know, it's a lot more colorful here in the South. Right. You know, I mean, years ago, when you had David Duke, the Grand Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, running against Edward Edwards, a convicted felon for governor, poor old Louisiana had license plates that said, "Vote for the crook, it's important." You know? Yeah. I mean, it's just more colorful in the South, or it seems to be. Yeah. I don't get, having been involved with the Republican Party my whole life, I ran for Congress here in '82, won the first Republican primary ever in that thing, and being an employee for Republican National Committee, working with Haley Barbour for many years in the White House. And that's a part of me.
Right.
But if I stick a Democrat, I'm going to stick a Republican too. I try and keep it even because there's just a lot of, Mark Twain said a long time ago that politics is just show business for ugly people. You know, it really is. But I kind of spread it around. But nowadays, I stay away from it. People take politics so personally now. Yeah. I mean, they're making moral judgments on a person's political party.
Right.
That ain't right.
Right.
You know, I can remember the days in Escambia County where Democrats would go to fundraising events. And public Republicans and Democrats, everybody would be there.
Right.
You know, because we voted for people, not parties.
Right.
Now it's gotten so tight, I kind of stay away from that. And I try and stay away from, I know Larry and some other comedians go there, but I don't do jokes about special needs kids and that sort of thing. I've never thought that was funny.
Right.
Phobias are funny.
Right.
I had a button for years that said, "I beat anorexia." And I wore it everywhere. People walk up and go, "It's not fun to make. Yeah, it ain't funny to make fun of a disease, but anorexia is not a disease. It's a phobia. Phobia is a fair game, you know." I whooped it too, Ben. I got it in permanent remission right now. But it's there's just certain things I don't do. Other comedians go there. I just don't do it.
Is there any particular area that you just really love? You say this is my hot spot. I'm good at focusing in on this particular.
Yeah, I think some of my best stuff on all 6 of my albums are things that people say that just, I made up a thing years ago called IGMOs. An IGMO is a cross between ignorant and moron. And it's just things that people say that you just can't believe it, and I have fun with that. I specialize in that on all my albums. I have a little bit, like Foxworthy does. You might be a redneck kid.
Right.
Well, you're an IGMO if you do this.
I got you.
You know, that type of thing.
Hey, what a pleasure talking to you.
It's been great.
Best of luck.
Thank you,
Bubba
pal.
Bechtol.
Loved it. Great. Now put my hat on.
Put it on now.
Go back to my island.
You can keep up with all things Bubba at tbubba.com. And by the way, you can find more of our conversations online at wsre.org/conversations, as well as on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Jeff Weeks. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Take great care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.
Support for this program is provided in part by these corporate sponsors. And by viewers like you.